Yo, just gonna do some quick Minotaur runs with 4 different Spectres with a similar gear setup. I will be using a 4 green socket Triad grip for the Sanguimancer Demons, and swapping it out for plain 4 green socket gloves for the other 3. I will be using Raised Spectre, Awakened Minion Damage, and Minion Speed for all 4 setups, then the last 3 gems I will change depending on the Spectre. I am not using my Animate Guardian, and I am also not running any offensive auras. I am using Punishment as my curse. I will put the PoE in the description. I am using 20% quality white Minotaur maps. I've been playing a lot with the Sanguimancer Demons. The sustain they provide is amazing, but I just can't really get their DPS to a comfortable enough level. Now that I am getting into juiced mapping, some mobs are so powerful, especially with the wisps, that they just take too long to kill. And empowered Drox was a big problem especially, sometimes not even being killable. I can get another Spectre level on my boots and I can get 2 12 passive minion clusters, but I still feel their damage is not quite gonna reach high enough levels, especially in this league. The Druidic Alchemist is the next one I'm testing. This one's really powerful in combination with an Umbilicus Immortalis and flasks like a Dying Sun and Uriah's End. Also getting crit from a Diamond Flask and getting cast speed from a Silver Flask. I feel that even without flasks these could perform okay. I would use the Covenant and Severed in Sleep as their base damage is really low. They still have some overlap even without the AoE from a Dying Sun and do always poison. You could skill their poison, which will likely yield more DPS in theory. In practice, however, it will probably feel better to focus on the hit damage. Another thing to note is that they have an innate 75% chaos resistance, meaning we really only have to focus on their elemental resistances as they have a base value of 0, and there's enough options for minions in that regard. Next up is the Serpent Warrior. These actually have a very interesting mechanic. The mortar skills they use when supported with Meat Shield work with multi-strike. This actually makes them more powerful than you might think. They do however have a charge mortar, which is the green ball that also gets repeated. This charge mortar has quite a long animation time, so it does lead to some DPS downtime. They don't seem to use it very often when close up to targets however. They use their barrage mortar quite a lot in this case, which creates very significant overlap and damage potential. It is hard to pinpoint exactly which mortar is which when looking at the PoE database. Some of the mortars even have spell tags. This should not be a huge problem however, as we already have Ray Spectre, greater multiple projectiles, meat shield, minion damage and multi-strike. And for the last gem I would use Vile Toxins. Except for multi-strike, these boost both spells and attacks. These also have an innate 75% chaos resistance, just like the Druidic Alchemist. In addition, we are supporting them with Meat Shield, making them decently tanky. I would also support these with a Covenant, but might choose a United in Dream in this case to cap their poison chance. Another thing to note is that since they inflict Withered on hit, their damage is a little bit inflated compared to the Druidic Alchemist, as the Druidic Alchemists are not inflicting Withered, but will do so if you choose to run Severed in Sleep. Then the last one is the Judgemental Spirit. While this one looks really cool and shoots out a ton of projectiles, I feel like this one has less damage potential than the Serpent Warrior or the Druidic Alchemist. The base fire damage their mortar skill has limits their potential. In addition, they use other skills that you don't really want them to use. The AoE is really nice for clear if your PC can handle it, but I think their single target damage potential is limited. Overall, I think both the Sanguimancer Demon and Judgemental Spirit are not quite there in terms of damage. The Serpent Warrior is very powerful and should be really chill to use, as you will still be able to use flasks. The Druidic Alchemist feels amazing with the Orion's End Flask, having really good map clear potential, as we can scale the explosion damage with things like minion damage. but it requires a bit of investment and you sacrifice your flasks, which hurts your defense. Yup.